I don't know how I feel about your mat. Wow. That's what I think of every time I see it, or like just like running. It's supposed to be like a manga. This is the Key Company, or the Key.co. They're 65% offering in the budget category, and then the KBD67 Lite, which is also KBD fans offering in that same category. I'm obviously very late to this party, but a lot of people that are either getting into the hobby or don't have a whole lot of money to put on a lot of these really high-end, really nice boards still look for these boards. A lot of times, at least from my experience when I first got into the hobby, you hear, what is more affordable for me? What can I afford to work on or build? And you start there. Both of these boards at the moment are listed at $109. I didn't know what I wanted to do this evening, and I was curious. And the question that came to mind was, what would both of these boards sound like if you used the same switches and the same keycaps and modified them in pretty much the same way? And I was just curious from my own sound, my own preferences for keyboard builds, if I would prefer one over the other. So that is the goal of the evening, is to get an idea of like which board is going to provide you with the experience that you're looking for in terms of keyboard. The other thing I wanted to be conscious of was price, right? I wanted to try to be respectful as I could to someone's wallet, and still semi future proof yourself in terms of a keyboard build. This is going to be our comparison tool between both of these boards, so the idea is to keep it as consistent as possible, and these are the switches we're going to go with. We have the KBD67 Lite with EVA foam tape mod. It has the silicone pad on the bottom, or silicone mat rather, and we are running the matcha latte switches and GMK Moto Lite. Sounds good. It's clackier than I thought it would be. Or actually, that's not true. I had a feeling it was probably going to be pretty clacky. I personally would be curious what this would sound like if the switches were lubed. All right, so that's board number 1. Now we're going to move on to our competitor, the Portico. I'm just going to leave this here for now because we're going to have to pretty much rip it apart here in a second. So again, the big differences with this board is you have the center point for the USB-C, and the gasket mounted system is a little bit more, I think, on the traditional side. It's on these almost these portions of the plate that stick out and have foam on either side being supported on the inside of the case. Again, the other thing is this is an FR4 plate with a felt, I believe it is, dampening material in between the PCB and the plate. So construction wise, this is where the biggest portion of the keyboards differ. Otherwise, the construction of the case is pretty much the same. The muting pad at the bottom is a little bit different. It's kind of like hollowed out, like honeycomb, for the molding that they did. The badge for the Porticos, kind of like a shiny label, whatnot, that they've got back on here. Mine is pretty beat up. Oh no, it's supposed to come off. No, it literally came off. I ripped it off. What I was taking off was like what I thought was like a film that was on here that didn't need to be there. And I'm still assuming it didn't need to be there. I don't know, it's gripping on there pretty tight. It probably was supposed to stay on there. I took it off though. It's not on there anymore, but it's not nearly as like scratched up as it was before. So we've got the Portico from the Key Company with GMK Moto Lite, with the Poron, the modular Poron pads from KBD Fans, tape mod, and then it has the silicone mat at the bottom that comes with the keyboard, and I think that's it. For the most part, these boards, I tried to configure them both as close to each other as possible. The difference being that this doesn't have an FR4 plate and it's a silicone muted pad between the PCB, and then the foam that's above the PCB is not Poron, but it's EVA foam. But I don't really know how much of a difference that actually makes. Both keyboards have a silicone pad at the bottom and the tape mod, and this board sounded very clacky with the same keycaps and switches, whereas this board sounded, especially the spacebar, that spacebar was real thocky. And I had a feeling that was going to be the case. Like, if I had to choose between these two keyboards in this current configuration, like which one would I prefer more, it definitely would be the Portico. We'll do it right now. Imagine not just having Windows system sound muted. Imagine.